Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you for being here. We know it's the last session of the day, so probably you're tired. So really glad to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about the real-time analytics experience in Microsoft Fabric and how you can leverage it to really decide on the fly.
Hi, everyone. First of all, let's go with some presentations. My name is Joana Barbosa. I'm the head of data analytics team at DevScope. If you haven't heard of DevScope, we're a consultancy company from Portugal, working with data and the data pipelines for 20 years and in a close partnership with the Microsoft products. And with me, it's Sonia.
Hello, my name is Sonia. I'm a BI specialist at DevScope, and I've been working within the BI field for approximately 5 years using the Microsoft BI stack. And it's my first time speaking at SQL Beats, so I'm really excited, and hopefully you'll enjoy our session.
Okay, let's begin then. So before diving into the real-time analytics part, let's just have a quick intro of Fabric, because I bet most of you have heard about Fabric already, but for those who haven't, well, welcome back for your hibernation period, because you've probably been out somewhere and outside of social media, but just a quick summary. So Fabric provides a one-stop shop for everything you need for your data process, from data integration, engineering, real-time analytics, data science, to the BI analytics part. With this new Fabric universe, you should be able to use one single product with a unified experience to answer the needs of the different roles in your organization. Now, its goal as being a software as a service solution is to make possible for a user in a couple of minutes sign up and quickly start working on real business value, just simple and accessible. And with the solution built-in security and governance capabilities, you can then rest assured that your organization data is safe and secure. As you can see in the image, this means bringing together a lot of pieces from the Azure environment to the Fabric environment, like Data Factory, Synapse, Data Explorer, together, of course, with Power BI. But the most important of it all is One Lake. One Lake stands as the foundation layer of the entire ecosystem. Built on Data Lake Storage Gen 2, you should expect total compatibility with functionality and APIs from the Data Lake. And also it's a multi-cloud environment data lake that will serve developers, business analysts, business users, and all in an organized data hub. So all Fabric workloads are automatically wired into One Lake. Of course, this is a very brief summary of it all, but you have a lot of other sessions. You had it today and you have tomorrow to learn more about it. For this one, we would really like to focus on this part, on these components of the Fabric, the real-time analytics, and how it can connect to a Power BI report, and then trigger some actions with Data Activator. So Data Activator, you can connect to it, to your event streams, or to your report. You can define some conditions, detect them, and then trigger some actions. But we'll talk a little bit more about it later on. For now, we really would like to start with the context for real-time analytics. So please, Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's start with understanding real-time analytics. What is it and why do we need it? To understand the concept of real-time analytics, let's start by thinking about the world in terms of events. An event is just something that happens out in the world. For example, a person searching on a website. When the event happens, it tells us a lot about what's true in the world. That is very valuable at that moment. But as you can see on the charts, the value of the event goes down after time goes by. And as we can see, traditional batch business intelligence actually happen when it's not that actionable anymore. So close to when the event happens is actually when you can take an action. For instance, if the event is me searching in a meal delivery service, such as Uber Eats, let's imagine I'm searching for a burger.
Like you did last night, right?
Yeah, at the moment, it's really important, right? I'm trying to find a burger near me. But let's say in 2 hours from then, it's not important because presumably I ate a burger or I found a replacement, so you can't really act on that. So our point here is, the real-time analytics has value when for things that you need to act on. and I advanced, sorry, by accident. So let's look at some use cases across industries. Real-time analytics is used across many industries, as we can see here, and it's also useful for IoT scenarios and log analytics scenarios. To name a few examples, we can think about social media platforms. Typically, they have algorithms running in real time to detect fake news, for instance, or for example, some inappropriate language, and to delete those posts in real time. Transactional data, for instance, banking. We don't want, right, to be robbed, and so those fraudulent transactions need to be detected in real time. And if we think about autonomous systems such as drones or cars, they really need to act on sensor data and cameras. So there's a lot of use cases for real-time analytics. It was just to give you some examples. So now let's look at our options for building real-time analytics solutions. How could you do it before Fabric? You had streaming datasets, which were, in our opinion, very, very limited. You only had one endpoint, very limited configurations, and you could only build dashboards. For more complex scenarios, you could use ADX, which stands for Azure Data Explorer, which is a PaaS solution that allows you to build analytics on top of time series data, and it has a very powerful engine, the Kusto engine. Being in Azure, you had to configure and provision all the resources in the service. Also regarding costs, you had your Power BI costs and then the Azure costs separately. Within Microsoft Fabric, this is really made easy, thank you, Joanna, because it's a single platform and unified platform, as Joanna mentioned, and it's built upon the one lake. Because of that, you can leverage the direct lake integration and, for instance, build a Power BI directly on top of one lake and use the new direct lake mode. So now let's look at the components of this real-time analytics workload. It has three main components. One is the event stream. Event stream takes care of the data ingestion. So it takes your event data and it loads it to a destination, one or multiple destinations, okay? Then you have the KQL database, which is this very, very powerful engine that handles lots of rows, and it's really tailor-made for time series data. And last but not least, you have the KQL query set, which allows you to save some queries that you do on top of your KQL database. And then probably, if you want, you can share them with your colleagues. And actually the last one, I said last, but Event House is a feature that is now in preview. And this is basically the workspace for your KQL databases. So now talking about Data Activator. Data Activator is another piece of Fabric, but we are mentioning it here because it integrates with this real-time analytics experience. It's a new way to drive actions from your data, and basically it provides a no-code experience for the user, so it's really easy to use. There was actually a session just before ours regarding the whole process, but how does it work in a simple way? First, you have to connect to your data. Secondly, you detect some actionable conditions. And third and last, you trigger actions. So for example, I mentioned the IoT scenario. Let's say you have a shop floor and you are monitoring some machines by using sensor data. If one of the machines is not functioning, you want to detect that quickly and then act on it, probably repair it or do some other thing. So
it's important to have an alert that actually quickly reminds you of something that's wrong that you need to act.
Exactly.
Okay. I think it's enough of the theory. You want some demos, so let's go to
demo
it.
time.
Okay. So, for this demo, we want to know a little bit more about you. So we want your collaboration for this. So please go ahead, scan the QR code, and just answer a few very simple questions, okay? Thank you for your collaboration. So while you do that, I'll just dig into the architecture and explain you a little bit of what you're trying to achieve. So first, you have our forms that you're answering right now, and connected to it, we have a Microsoft flow that's going to take all your answers, and every time you answer it, it will send that data to an event hub that you already set up. So this part, we already pre-set up for this, and we're going to focus on the rest of the process. After having your answers on the event hub, we'll set up an event stream, so one of these pieces in Fabric that we just explained to you. And we're going to have that data landing on a lakehouse. So after having that, everything getting from your forms and getting into the lakehouse, we can then start building our semantic model. So to build that semantic model, we'll connect it using the new storage mode that Fabric brings us, the direct lake. So until now, you could choose between two options: direct query, where you had real-time data, but slower and heavier on your data systems. So you have to be careful because all the queries that you're doing on your report, they're actually being going to the backend for your system. Or you could use import mode. Much better performance on your calculations, taking advantage of the VertiPack engine and the in-memory data. However, you have to duplicate your data. You have to load that data to your model, and you're going to have more latency between the actual occurrence of the event and the time that you get it to the report. Okay? With the new direct lake mode, the approach is to take the best from the both worlds. So storage format that Delta Parquet in one lake was optimized in a compatible way. So it's compatible with VertiPack engine and allowing us to have a performance that's similar to the import mode, but without refreshing the data and without that latency, we can have it all reload into memory, and we can have the real-time approach that Direct Query had. So all the data is finally centralized and loaded into one central repository, and we don't have to duplicate it, and we can base everything on it. Okay, let's see it in action. Okay, so we have our workspace, and we already had a few things set up in here. Of course, we had some dimensions that we loaded in the data flow, and we already have our one lake. But the goal is to get to something like this. So the report getting your answers from the forms. Well, it's already getting it, but let's show it in a second. So it's working, right? But to get to that, what we need to do? We come here to our artifacts, and if you come downstairs, you have all the real-time analytics components. And for this one, we want to start the event stream. We're going to give it a name. And this will be extremely quickly, actually, in this internet. It wasn't so bad. No, okay, just a couple of seconds. So after we having the event stream set up, we're going to define where you're getting the data from, so the source, and then the destination. Regarding the source, so we can connect to the event hubs that we're going to do in this demo, or a IoT hub, or even we can have something custom that we're going to show later. In this scenario, we want to connect it to a event hub. So, hub, just one. So we need the connection for it, and for this, I already had it set up in here. So in your connections, you need to define how you connect to your event hub. I can show you a little bit more about it, but you get the connection ID and the data source, and of course the credentials for it. You set up in your cloud connections, and then you can reuse it on your streams. I'll select it, and the consumer group, and the data format. You can have other formats coming in here regarding delimited formats, but in this scenario, we want JSON. We're going to add it, and then we can go to the destination. Again, you have some options in here, always something custom, or you can go to the KQL database, you can go to the reflex and having active interaction here, but in this case, we want to go to the lakehouse. Okay, I'll select my workspace and the lakehouse that we already had in here. And in here, I have already some tables in there, but you can also just get here and create one. Bits forms. And again, the format that you want to save it in there. In this, we can have it just the data coming and landing in there directly, or you can even come in here and customize some operations, like aggregations, expand, or even just changing the data types in here with the mentioned field. But for this scenario, I'll just straight write it down to the data lake. Okay, we'll add this. Few seconds for it to add. But when that's okay. So the data will start landing here, and it will get to our lake house. Let's go to it. Okay, so in here, as I told you, we already had a few things, just some tables loaded to help us in the model. As some calendars, some time dimension, and I already had something set up in here regarding the form answers. So all your answers that you are doing in the forms are already loading in here with the one that I had pre-built. Okay, so if I have all this in here, what I want now is start building my model. Okay, I can go in here, have my semantic model. I'll give it a name, again, by original, and select the tables that I want to take to my model. Okay, so when I look like this, I'm only seeing the tables. You can come in here and actually select to see the views as well that you build in here. But be careful, because what we're trying to do here with the semantic model is having a model in direct lake. So you have that advantage of connecting directly to it and the performance near the import model. If you try to use views in your model, it's going to fall back into a direct query. Okay, and you may not want that. You may not want the decay in performance that may imply. You don't want those queries coming up to the source. So use it carefully. Maybe in this scenario, if you have a view or if you have a transformation, it might make sense to transform and materialize it on the one lake so you're able to use the direct lake in the entire model. So in here, I'll just select tables. Of course, it's a demo, and if nothing goes wrong, some might say that there's still some bugs on the tool, but not us, of course not. Let's try again. So, and all of this that we're doing in the model, we're just doing it in the service while it loads. And it will load.
That's amazing.
So we're not importing the data, and right now it's not importing the data anywhere else. We're not going to the Power BI desktop. We're actually just trying to build our semantic model in the service. So right here we have the metadata, and we can finally move forward and do stuff like our relationships. Or we can change, some properties of it. We can hit some columns. We can, let's build a simple measure. Just the count rows. And again, nothing has to go to the Power BI desktop. These are all normal operations you can do in the service. So you can do in another operating system, something like that. And you don't have those issues. And okay, but this doesn't have data yet. So you're telling me, okay, what about the data? Yeah, but let's do the report now. And again, all in the service. We'll bring it here. And let's have our counts coming in. And see if you all know about Fabric. Oh, there's still a few that were actually not knowing it yet. And that's it. I can build my
Lots of countries as well.
people from different origins. And again, all of that in the service without getting out of the same environment. Is this all for having the real time? Something missing, right?
Something.
Okay, we won't have our report refreshing real time and having the data without having to interact with it. For it, we just need to be careful about two more things. One of it is regarding the capacity settings. So you need to have an administration of the capacity doing this, or you have to have the role to do it. When you come here into the Power BI workloads and the semantic model, you have to come here and allow an automatic page refresh and define the refresh interval. So depending on how quickly and how fast you want this refresh to happen, you need to come here and have the configurations aligned. After doing that, in your report, you have to pay attention how you want to refresh the data without interacting to it. And for that, you have to come to the report page, and you have this setting about page refresh. And in here, you have two options. You can do it a change detection, and for that, you set up a measure that it will be looking at, and every time the measure changes, then you know it has to refresh the report. And for that, we have like a count rows of the answer, so that will allow us to refresh the things, refresh the visuals. Or you can have an auto page refresh and define it, no, I want it to do it every 30 seconds. Just, again, be aware. It means that every 30 seconds, all the queries that you're having in the report are being done in your model and overloading your model. It depends on what you want to achieve. So keep the visual simple so you don't have a lot of workload in here. And after this, yes?
Just one note, Joanna. The more advanced feature, it doesn't work in the service as of now, right?
Right, exactly. Right now, if you do this in the service, it's not really, it doesn't allow you to add the measure in here, but in desktop you can do it, and maybe you can show it later, actually, when you go to the desktop. Mm-hmm. But that's still something that's not quite functioning yet. And having all this, we can come back to our report and see that actually updated with your answers. And so far, the feedback regarding the event is very good. We hope that after our session, besides learning a few things, you keep the feedback regarding the event. Okay, what else do you have to show us now?
Okay. So we have another demo where we wanted to show you a similar architecture, but based on the KQL database. And we actually adapted the theme of the data to be more like SQL bits thematic. So we are analyzing flight prices data. And let's start by looking at the architecture. So as a data source, we have a custom app. So we built a script that gets data from a flight prices API that gives us the flight prices in real time updates. Then for ingestion, we use the same piece. It's the event stream. For storage, instead of putting it to one lake, we put it to KQL database. And then using a query set, KQL query set, we do some transformation on that data to be able to then build a semantic model. So the semantic model in this case will be using the direct query mode. Afterwards, we build a nice Power BI report showcasing the flight prices changes. And in the end, we actually want to derive some alerts regarding the flight prices, so we'll be using Data Activator. So now let's see how we can achieve that. Okay, so we have a workspace for this. Not presenting. I'm sorry. Okay. We have a workspace for this demo as well. And let's start by looking at the event stream. So the event stream, as you will see, is already connected using the custom app because my script had to be pre-built. But what are the important things that you need from this configuration? Are these connection string primary key? This is the endpoint that you will pass onto your script, and that gives you the ability to connect to the event hub that is built for you behind the scenes and totally managed by Fabric. So now regarding destination, as Joanna mentioned, it can be multiple things. Actually, you can have more than one destination, but for this sample, we'll land it to the KQL database. So when you select KQL database, you have the option to do a direct ingestion, so you don't do any transformation, or you can do event processing before ingestion. In this case, we want to guarantee that the price column is decimal and that our data arrives in date time, so I'll select the option below.
So you're changing some data types.
Yes, exactly. Not many transformation, but at least a change type. So let's add our destination name. select the workspace, the same where we have all our items. KQL database, we'll use the one that already exists. And destination table, we'll create a new one called demo2. Our data format comes in JSON, and let's see how we can work with the event processor. Once you open the event processor editor, you have some operations that you can do. As I mentioned, we will be using the managed fields because we are just interested in some change types. So it's as simple as selecting that option. Then you need to delete this direct link between source and destination and actually pass it through the manage fields option. So like this. And here you actually have a pretty handy function of adding all fields. And then we can do some transformation. So let's ensure that our date is a date time, for instance, and in this case, that our price is double, and just a few, these two dates as well, the from and to of the tickets, very quickly. Just like this, date time, and then we click on done. After we configure this and click on add, this will add our destination. So now that this is adding, and you'll see it shouldn't take much time, it also depends on our internet velocity. So we can go to the KQL database and we will see that the schema is automatically created. Let's see if this is as I'm expecting. Yeah. So as you can see, the table is already here and you can see the columns. So no data as of now. Let's give it a few seconds. But actually we have here the flight prices data. And this is a table that we have pre-configured, okay? So let's see what options we have while looking at the KQL database. Actually, the product is quite nice because it gets you, lets you query in SQL, so it's SQL friendly. But Kusto engine has a dedicated language, which is KQL or Kusto Query language.
Like if for those who actually been on the Fabric Power Hour. No, next year it will be KQL bits, maybe. Who knows?
So maybe we should get familiar with it. And you have some samples that the tool gives you already. So let's say the select first records, and we can see some of our data here. So we have source airport, destination, airline, the price, and then the dates, and the event dates as well. So, for instance, the keyword, like the top is a take in this case. But let's say if you want to use a select, you can use a project keyword. And you could select maybe just a few columns.
It has IntelliSense too, right?
Yes, destination airport, so it's quite nice.
Because you're risking everything doing this live.
I know. So... hopefully, okay, this is right. I won't go into much detail of KQL, but you find it, there's lots of documentation around it, but for the sake of simplicity, you can adapt your SQL knowledge to KQL quickly. And then, as handy as Joanna had in her demo, we have these options ready for us. So, for example, I can save this result as a KQL query set and name it query 2. Because it's demo 2, like this. And let's say I wanted to share, I could save it and then share it with someone else.
So all collaborative, and you can share this with your colleagues and work in the same workspace, and that's what allows us to do that in KQL.
So it's pretty nice. So we also have an option to quickly build a Power BI report on top of this table. Let's see if it collaborates. May the demo gods be with us. And for instance, we want to see what are the airline names and airline calls that we are getting. And you'll see it in real time, okay? Showing up and source airports, what are the travel from and to dates.
It's working, really, don't push it.
Yeah, it's really small, but hopefully you can see something. Okay, So it's like this. But actually, I wanted to show you how the report, the final report looks like, the one we built really for the... So final report looks like this. It's refreshing each 3 seconds, so as data is landing, you are actually seeing it. And in this case, we are doing some simple analysis around prices on week versus weekend and so on. And then by airline as well and source airports. So now this is all running smoothly and it's beautiful in my point of view. But let's say we are interested about driving some alerts on this. So
what about the model? You did it all in the service or you did it in the desktop as well?
Well, this one I did in the desktop and I can show you why. I think I have time.
You do.
So actually, doing it in the service is great, but it doesn't allow you to change the table if you want, like use the parameters, correct, that we are, as developers, more tailored to do. So in here, we can actually connect to ADX, which I explained, it's the engine behind the scenes, right? And we can pass the link for our KQL database that we get from Fabric, and then the database name, okay? So it's just as simple as doing a navigation, and we pass the name of our table. So in this case, it's easier. It's a good practice, right? Because if the table name changes, you just change the parameter, and it's all dynamic, let's say. Yeah, so then we removed also other columns that are not necessary. And we came up with this, and we changed type to date. I should have done that in a query, but it's okay. It's a demo.
For the demo, it's okay.
So regarding the reports, I also can show you this option of the page refresh, which
it's not showing.
It's not showing up, but maybe this is a bug of the version because it should be.
We're trustable people, they believe us.
They believe us.
This should be in here, so
there should be another option for you to identify a measure. In that case, I would do the price updates, and this could trigger the refresh if the data really changes.
In that case, not having that option, it means that we're doing a force a refresh every X seconds instead of depending something that might not change that frequently, okay? So
exactly.
That was ideal. Maybe this version of desktop has something in there, but
yeah.
That's something that we wanted to show it because more optimized than doing this every time for all the queries, every X seconds, okay?
Okay. So now, let's say we want to drive some action regarding this data. I can give a personal example. I'm interested in cheap flights. So for instance, let's say I want to be alerted when the price maybe goes below 50 euros.
Oh, really cheap, okay.
Really cheap, I like who doesn't like a cheap flight, right? So you have a very handy option to set up an alert, and this will use the data activator component. And the measure displayed here is the last price for that airline. Let's say we want to configure a rule when the price becomes less than 50. Hopefully, this allows me to edit. Okay. We want to send a notification by email. So we save it in the same workspace, and let's call it alert demo 2.
Cheap alert.
Okay. Cheap alert demo 2. Okay, and this will start our alert. As you can see here, you don't have many options to do more advanced rules, but this is just the preview when you do it directly in the Power BI report. Afterwards, if you go to the reflex item that is created for you, you have more options that I believe are more intelligent or useful, more advanced, let's say. Yeah, so actually I built one already for you to show you. Let me just see where it landed. Yeah, it's this one. And here you can actually define the body of the email that you are sending, if you want to customize the message. In this case, it will be just the airline XYZ for this ticket there and there has a low price. But let's say we want to create a new trigger with a more advanced scenario. So here I'll look at the last price, okay, for airline. And let's say I want to detect what would be interesting when the price
Goes down?
goes down 50%.
50%, okay.
At least.
Again,
like
optimistic.
Where is it?
As optimistic as we doing all of this demo online, depending on the internet, but
yeah,
at least values for our courage.
Changes by. Sorry, I was looking at the.
Okay.
So let's say we want to do it when the price changes by 50% from last measurement each time, because that's a quite nice alert to receive, right? I would say so. And then let's select an action. Maybe we can select an email just to see what we can input here. We could have a customized subject, a headline, and then a message if you want it to be more specific.
Just go check now. Something.
Yeah. If we select Teams message, it looks quite the same. So the person, headline, optional message, additional information. So it's quite simple, as you can see. Because we are not doing a Data Activator session, right? Just wanted to give you to pique your interest. We'll just show how the result looks like. So, for example, I got an email that the price for Delta Airlines was 36. So, really nice, right? I think so. Yeah, and is that simple as this? It's really drag and drop, so user-friendly. I believe this is a game changer.
And again, most of it all done in the service, all done in a unified experience. Okay?
Okay. So, let's wrap it up, Joanna.
Okay. I really like your background.
Thank you.
I think someone likes it too, right? Okay, wrapping it up, just some close points so you have in mind. If you need to start quick and you need to start small, and we really love to start small. We really love to build solutions that are adapted to the organization growth and don't have to be big in the beginning. They just can grow with it. So Fabric allows you to have a solution up and running in no time and adapt as you evolve. You can take advantage of one lake and the direct lake mode to shortcut the path from your source to your report. And if you have greater volumes, greater needs of processing, then you can also recur to the Kusto's engine with the KQL databases to have that capability. So regarding experience and maybe some not so great experience so far, regarding dataset creation, it might still be a limit in the service, but you always have you can always back up to desktop, and it might be advised in some scenarios. But for a lot of other scenarios, for a lot of simple scenarios that you may have in your organization, in your teams, it really answers a lot of things in there. But changing schemas in one lake and data set in direct lake also has some limitations yet, not fully robust. But as you know, Fabric has been evolving every week, every month, so I know that this experience is going to improve a lot in the next couple of months, so pay attention. But in our opinion, overall, you get a very complete solution in a unified environment, which feels pretty valuable to us and hopefully for you too. So thank you very much, and that's it for right now. So just don't forget to give your feedback, please, and this year is even more valuable because every time you answer the feedback, we get to donate to a charity, so please go ahead and do it. And we're open for some questions.
And actually, we also have our YouTube channel from DevScope. We share some valuable tips and tricks, so please check it out. And if you like it, subscribe.
Yeah, and if you want some stickers, we have a lot of them, because people didn't come in the previous sessions, so feel free to stop by just to get the sticker, or if you want to say something, also, we'll be here. Thank you.